Hello everybody, welcome to the Jonathan Greenwood YouTube channel, talking all things Newcastle United. Well, new beginnings, new season for Newcastle United and new opinions. Just me, by myself, Jonathan Greenwood, for Newcastle United in the 2025-2026 season. You can see the title, exactly what we are missing at this moment in time, and that is a striker, as Newcastle have drawn 0-0 at Villa Park against Unai Emery's Aston Villa. On the whole, before a ball was kicked, if I offered you a point, you would say yes, a fantastic point. But under the circumstances, it is 2 points dropped or a missed opportunity, depending on how you see it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you get your comments, and I'll do my best to reply to all comments throughout this video and future videos. But let's talk about Newcastle United right now. What a summer it's been for so many different reasons. Isak wanting to go to Liverpool, not wanting to play for Newcastle United ever again after scoring the winner against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup final, which seems such a long time ago now. But we missed a striker, not necessarily Alexander Isak. Everybody would miss Alexander Isak, but we missed a natural goal scorer. Anthony Elanga making his debut gave Newcastle a perfect chance on a plate to make it 1-0. But couldn't get past Aston Villa's new goalkeeper to put Newcastle ahead at the Holt End. But Newcastle were banging the drum. They looked sharp. They looked sharp, but they were missing that goal scorer. We're going to keep repeating that throughout this video pretty much. We just did not have that goal scorer. Harvey Barnes, Anthony Gordon, Anthony Elanga, incredibly quick, incredibly pacey, and caused Villa problems, but no goals. And it's not really their fault if you want to look at it from that point of view. They're not strikers, they're wingers, they're forward players, but they're not out-and-out goal scorers, if we're being really, really honest and really brutal about all three of them. Gordon probably had a half-decent chance, maybe even a better chance than some would imagine, after Barnes' cross on the left-hand side. Well, missed everybody, and then Gordon's there 6 yards out. It is coming a little bit behind him, but if you time that run a little bit better, it should be 1-0 Newcastle United. And you just thought, are we going to regret these opportunities? How many opportunities we're going to get at Villa Park? And, you know, Villa didn't really cause us many problems, if we're being honest. Nick Pope hasn't had to make any real save of note in the first half. It's been very, very comfortable. Tonali was very, very comfortable in midfield. He was kind of like the playmaker, if you like. Had so much of the ball, so much time, so much space. But there was just something missing, and that's going to be the common theme, isn't it, of Newcastle United until they sort that out, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in this video. But when you see the players that we have got and the fact that we were so comfortable against an Aston Villa side who we only finished above on goal difference, you know, it shows that we have got some real quality and some real, I think, great players. Great players, and I think they can attack on all fronts, pardon the pun, when it comes to all the competitions that we're going to be in this season. But we need to try and think of different ways if we can't get Johan Visser over the line, or Alexander Isak just doesn't play for Newcastle United ever again, because we need to do something about that going further forward. But as half-time came, it was a bit of a stalemate, if I'm being honest. Obviously, Villa didn't really create a lot. Morgan Rogers had little bright moments, but again, not forcing Nick Pope into any sort of save. And when half-time came, you're thinking, well, if Elanga scores or if Gordon puts that header away, Newcastle got a real good chance of doing something. But at 0-0, you need to make sure that you expect an Aston Villa retaliation, if you like, because they were poor in the first half, very, very poor. Villa Park was very quiet today. And I think you have to look at what can Newcastle United learn from this going further forward in terms of how can they kill teams off where they haven't got a natural goal scorer if your strikers are injured, hypothetically. But Villa were very, very flat and didn't really create a lot until maybe the 55th minute, where Kamara had a header which was right down the throat of Nick Pope. Ollie Watkins had a chance, again, right down the throat of Nick Pope. That was the best it got from a Villa point of view. But a big moment, 25 minutes before the end of the game, Elanga on the counter-attack plays a lovely ball through into Anthony Gordon, who's the wrong side of Konsa, brings him down. Last man, red card, easy decision for the referee, Craig Pawson. And for Newcastle, it was right, can they do something now? They've got the man advantage, they're going to have a lot more of the ball. But we didn't really see much at all. And Gordon's shot on the 90th minute was probably the best it got for Newcastle United. It wasn't good. It wasn't good in terms of what we really could do. Jacob Murphy came on, Asula came on. I know he only came on for a couple of minutes, but we didn't really look like scoring, if I'm being honest, throughout the whole game. Did not look like scoring. Got into good positions, but just didn't have that striker. We keep on saying that. Barnes having an effort as well, just before he was substituted by from Asula. But no one really grasped the opportunity. No one thought, right, I'm going to try and get that goal. I'm going to try and, do something while we're in a really difficult position. But on the whole, you have to say Newcastle defended extraordinarily well. They were very, very comfortable. Dan Burn, Fabian Schär, handled Watkins okay. There was moments where he was getting the better in terms of Ollie Watkins, particularly on Fabian Schär towards the end of the game, winning free kicks, killing the game, if you like. But Newcastle will look at it and go, 2 points dropped in terms of the chances they had and the fact that Villa were down to 10 men when Konsa was sent off. But positives in the sense that we played well against a very good team, who's going to be fighting for the European places along with Newcastle United. And we can go into that Liverpool game with no fear whatsoever. I think it'll be an absolute cesspit on Monday next week. I think it'll be horrible to play at. And that's when Newcastle United can be absolutely fantastic and be at their extreme best. Arsenal have had games at St James's Park where it hasn't worked out for them when the atmosphere has been amazing. The same with Chelsea. The same with Liverpool in terms of getting that 3-3 draw last year. It was a really good performance, made it very, very difficult against a very good Liverpool side from last year that ended up winning the title. Can we get another performance like that? My man of the match was Dan Burn. I thought he was absolutely outstanding today. I thought he was a bit of here, there and everywhere, if we're being really honest. Dealt with Watkins well. I just thought he was so comfortable, so comfortable. And you've got Malik Chow on the bench. You've got Sven Botman on the bench. He's not getting replaced very, very quickly. It's going to be very, very interesting after the first international break to see where Dan Burns stands and Fabian Schär stands and how quickly do they get replaced, or if they're playing well, they just keep on playing, and we'll see how it goes. But still very early stages in the season. 0-0 at Villa Park isn't a disaster by any stretch of the imagination. We probably all had taken that last week after the pre-season games against Espanyol and Atletico Madrid. However, will we look back on that in terms of a missed opportunity at the end of the season, even though it's so early on? Yeah, we're going to be doing more videos like this throughout the season. Get your comments in. If you can subscribe, that'll be a real nice thing to do in terms of Newcastle United reviews. I'm going to try and do as many as I can, particularly after games. If anything comes up in terms of real significant news and I feel like expressing my opinion, we'll put it on here. But yeah, make sure you like this video if you can. Subscribe to the Jonathan Greenwood YouTube channel, and we'll see you all very soon.